What's up, gamers and collectors? DGC back with another pickups video. Today we got a console to talk about, got a ton of games. I guess some of these are considered retro at this point, which makes me feel really old because a lot of these came out when I was a teenager. A lot of really good stuff here. A lot of stuff I've been just kind of wanting to add back to the collection. So let's jump in and check it out. So right off the bat, I'll go ahead and start with the whammy. I think I did a short on this potentially, but I did finally pick up a PlayStation 3, and this is the 4-port 60 gig, was a 60 gig. And what's really cool about this is, and this is by sheer luck, I didn't really think about it when I bought it, but the manufacturing date on this is October 2006, so this is a legitimate launch console. So, yeah, because that would have came out in November of that year, so this was a legit launch console. We're very close to it, but I would imagine this was a launch day console. I picked this unit up off eBay. It was about $350 shipped, and what really intrigued me about this one was, and you'll see why I bought this later in the video, the warranty sticker was not peeled off yet. Obviously, it's peeled off now. So far I've already added a 1 terabyte blue Western Digital SSD. I upgraded it to the better power supply of the later fat models, which have more vent holes on them, and then also they're like 10% more power efficient, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's something. And then it has better airflow, as well as I put in the 15 blade fan, which is two things. It's quieter, and then also it uses less power, so that means less heat. And it's better at dissipating the heat because the fan blades are physically bigger. So that's out of the later model fat PS3s as well. I also put in some Thermal Grizzly thermal paste. I did delid both of the RSX and the cell processor, and I put the Thermal Grizzly on the top and below the heat spreaders, whatever you want to call it. And then I also additionally cleaned off all of the old thermal pads, and I put in some Thermal Grizzly pads, and that's the 2mm pad on these. And then additionally, I also put in, I found them on eBay. People have started to come up with these braces that go behind the cell processor and the RSX. They're about 1mm thick, and what that does is it actually adds more rigidity to the structure so that the heat dissipates even better. They're basically just 3D printed plastic pieces. You put them in there. It's kind of annoying to put all this together and sandwich it together and take off the internal heat spreaders because originally when I got the unit I was so excited to play it. However, I knew that I had to, because this was 19 years old, it's never had new thermal paste, so I was like, I'm going to turn it on and make sure it works after I purchased it, and then I'm going to crack it open, clean it up. And I was so pleasantly surprised there was like no dust in this thing, but it didn't look like it had just been blown out. Like there was just no dust because I don't think this unit got used a lot. And then when you take the heat spreaders off the RSX and the cell processor, specifically with the RSX, usually it kind of, if it's been used a lot and kind of overheated, you'll see a bit of a rainbow effect on the actual chip. And mine was just straight purple, so it didn't like have like a rainbow effect to it, so I don't believe it was overheated. And then with the cell processor, again, typically you can kind of see some rainbowing on there. Shit was shiny as silver. I had thought about doing like a nice little unboxing and cleaning kind of video, but I was like, it's been done to death, nobody's going to watch mine, so that's why I didn't do that. But if you go watch 3 or 4 or 5 of those videos, you'll get the confidence to do the procedure. One thing I do want to show you though, if you ever do feel ballsy enough to go ahead and do the delid repair, this is an absolute must. This is, I think they call it the delid V2. It can be bought on Amazon. I think it was 20 bucks. You're probably only going to use it once. However, if you spend roughly $300 on a console, what's an extra $20, right? So what this is it's a very teeny blade, and it allows you to curve it out like that, and then you basically just go around it like that. And you put such minimal pressure on it, and it took me like probably 2 minutes to work my way around it. I heated it up a little bit with the heat gun, then just worked my way around it. flawless experience, super easy to do. Anybody can restore one of these and get you feeling confident about having a nice backwards compatible PS3. So we did all that, and then what else did I do to this? I feel like there was something. Oh, and I don't know how well that'll show up on camera. It looks okay. Again, it is 19 years old, but I taped it off the top end and just had the big piece exposed. I polished this sumbitch for like 30 minutes straight. Just, oh man, it looks pretty good. It definitely got better. You're never going to get these perfect because it's fully gloss black. Now, I actually went back and forth for about 2 weeks, and I couldn't decide because I was like, look, if I get one of these, it's going to be my forever unit, right? I mean, it'll probably break eventually, but it'll probably be a long time from now. But I really like the look of the 20 gig with the all black. However, the functionality of the 60 gig with the 4 ports, well, actually the 20 gig has the 4 ports also. The Wi-Fi is definitely a plus, and then the card slot, I don't know anybody that ever used the card slot. So, you know, it is what it is. But I went for the 60 gig, and it was just such a good deal. The reason I did that was, so typically these go for about $250 to $400, depending on condition, quality, and the model that you get, right? This was a 60 gig, like I said, and it came with, I think it was 14 games. 2 of them I kept, which I'll show you right now. I needed to add these back into the collection, being The Last of Us PS3 and then Infamous. However, Infamous did not have the instruction manual, so I had to buy that separately. But you know me, I love to marry a manual with a game to thus, make a complete copy somewhere in the world. So we got those 2 I kept. The big one that it came with was Armored Core 4 Answer, which I already have on 360, which in hindsight, I kind of wish I kept the 360 version, or the PS3 version, and sold the 360 version, but whatever, it is what it is. So I sold that for a good bit of money, and then I sold the other games at a game store, thus reducing my cost down to about $250 on this. But then I added in the SSD, the power supply, the fan, the thermal paste, the thermal tape, or pads rather, and then the 2 little chips. So realistically, this is not a cheap thing to do. However, if you want it to last, you need to do those things. Maybe not the power supply, and the fan I would probably recommend. The power supply is really, it's probably a minimal gain of less heat in your console. But again, and then the reason I did the SSD over the regular hard drive was because with the SSD, you'll have less heat, but then also it's less moving parts. And then in theory, they claim SSDs should last longer than a mechanical hard drive. We'll see if that's true. I don't know. But so those were the main factors. And then noise also, because you got the hard drive making the noise. So now it makes no noise from the hard drive. This thing at idle, you can't even hear that it's on. It's fantastic. And then I've been playing Heavenly Sword, which I made a little short on. Actually, a surprisingly fun game. I've been really enjoying that. But I've been playing that. So it's relatively graphically demanding. It's still a good-looking title. The console under full load's really not that loud once you've done all these things, and it keeps it nice and crispy quiet, somewhat quiet, like versus when I first got it, this thing was loud as shit. But so super excited to have grabbed that, and then to add Infamous and then Last of Us back into the PS3 collection. I guess while we're looking at PS3 stuff, I'll just go ahead and jump into the rest of the PS3 stuff that I picked up. This is kind of a funny story because I've shown this a few times now. I keep picking up a copy of Beyond Two Souls, and then when it gets to me, it's got no manual, and then I get rid of it because I'm like, well, that one's not complete. I don't want it, right? This doesn't have a manual. It never did, never will. So, again, finally done buying that game to get a manual because it does not have a manual. And then another one here. I don't typically get greatest hit copies because I don't like how the case sticks out and it doesn't match everything else. However, this is one of those rare times, just like Fable, The Lost Chapters, which has the added DLC. So then I was like, well, I'll get that as a greatest hit. Director's Cut of Heavenly Rain has all the DLC and the move controls built onto the disc. So this is one of those rare times where it's like, this is clearly the definitive version of this. So that's an acceptable way to get that. I think I'll probably try it with the move controls because I actually enjoy the move, and if they went out of their way to add all that in. I've always heard this is a fantastic game, Heavenly Rain. So I've always wanted to try it and see how good it is. So interested to see how that one plays out. Now here's a cool one. I do actually own these digitally on the PS3 from way back in the day, but I always wanted the physical copy. You never really see, at least I never see this in stores very often, and that's the God of War collection for God of War 1 and 2. So I actually, spoilers, I have some good stuff coming from eBay and some other stores in the next pickups, whenever that'll be. It's basically the rest. I've played all of the God of Wars. Well, I've played 1 and 2 a long time ago. I've played 3 2 times. I played the PS4 one once, maybe twice, and then the new one I've played once. Ascension, I played once. And out of all of them, I would probably say Ascension's my favorite. I don't remember why, because it's been over 10 years since I've played it. I'm actually eagerly waiting for that to come in the mail, because I'm going to replay Ascension. So the story basically is Ascension, then I believe it's Ghost of Sparta, then God of War 1, then Chains of Olympus, then 2, then 3, then PS4, and then PS5 game. I think is the full actual story. Regardless, I'm excited to play. I've never played the 2 PSP games, which is Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta, so I'm very excited to play those. And then also I want to play Ascension again. And then frankly, I kind of want to play these 2 again and God of War 3 again. So pretty excited to get back into the old, like the actual God of War. The new one's okay, don't get me wrong, but the actual God of War is what I'm looking forward to playing. So super excited to grab that. Now here's an actual PS3 import game that is a really cool digital game, which you can still get digitally on your PS3. But I did want a physical copy of it, and it's a very, very weird, unique game. And I imported this, and it's The Last Guy. So it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb on the shelf with the Japanese writing on it. But so I don't know a ton about this. I think you just kind of play a guy, and it's like it almost looks like a GPS view, sky view of like a city, and you like run around, and I think you're running around from women. Obviously, I can't read it, but I think if you put this into an American console, I believe it converts. Like this is one of those rare occasions where it'll play like the English version just because it was released here. Correct me in the comments because I don't know, and maybe I screwed myself by buying this, and maybe it won't play in English. I don't know. I haven't actually had time to play it yet, but if it doesn't, then it is what it is. But I still imported it, and it's, I don't know, it looks cool at least. So hopefully I can play that on the. I know it'll work. I know PS3s are region free for PS3 games, but I don't know if it like converts it to English or whatever. So we'll find out, or you can let me know in the comments below. 360 game here. Only one 360 game here, and no Xbox games. So here's a cool title from Konami that I've always kind of wanted it, but I never see it in the stores. I wouldn't say this is rare, but I would say it's sought after and somewhat uncommon, and that being NeverDead. So this randomly started popping up on my YouTube. I don't know why I didn't search for it, and then I kept watching stuff about it, and I was like, that story kind of sounds appealing and kind of sounds interesting to me, and I was like, I'm going to look into that, and I watched a couple reviews on it, and tried to not get any spoilers, because like I'm more of a story guy, so like I don't want the story spoiled for me. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. So basically, the guy, he like is super old, and he gets cursed with like immortality, and then in the game you can like throw your limbs, almost a little Stubbs the Zombie like, and then you can like roll around as a head, or his head rather, and then you like regrow your body and stuff, and it looks very unique and very interesting. And I like games that offer something different, you know. I've heard there's a lot of criticism of this game, but I almost feel like this is one of those things where Konami could like go back, put this 4K 60, and re-release it at like $30, and people would probably buy it. I don't know why companies don't do like obscure shit like this, like they recently did with Shadows of the Damned and Lollipop Chainsaw, and just, and, you know, like the Bayonettas, and just random good third-party games from back in the day. You bring them up the resolution, bring up the frame rate. The Devil May Cry games. You know, this is a cool game. They could port over to the new consoles and bump up the frame rate and resolution, and it would probably sell, you know. And then you could be like, all right, here's our excuse to make a sequel to it. Although I don't know how the story ends, so maybe it doesn't have sequel material in the story. Here's one that so with all of the Switch 2 stuff, and obviously I picked up a Switch 2. I did that whole dedicated video. The last video I did was on my experience with the Switch after like 2 weeks of owning it. I like it. However, there's really a lack of software because I only play it for exclusives. So this month we have Kirby coming out, the DLC, which I'm excited for. And then we just got the announcement for Air Riders. Super excited. Already pre-ordered it. Pokemon. Already pre-ordered it. Deus Ex Machina, or what is it? I think that's what it is. It's not Deus Ex Machina. What the hell is that robot game called? I'm drawing a complete blank on that. Is it Deus Ex? What the hell is that game called? Oh, Daemon X. Oh, well, here's a spoiler for a game that I bought. But yeah, so I had a bunch of stored up points and money, basically, from Best Buy. I think it was $25 stored up. Black Myth Wukong, $65 game. It never fucking goes on sale. I've wanted this for a long time, but I just couldn't bite it for $65. I was just like, I'm going to wait, and it never goes on sale. So I finally had the $25 saved up, so I threw that all toward this to get, a new copy, but at a more fair price, in my opinion. I did play about an hour of it so far, just to experience it. Loved it. Can't wait to play this, but I want to play it when I have like time to fully play it and dedicate to that, because I kind of have gotten this nasty habit where I'll start playing too many games at once because I'm like too excited about the shit that I've picked up, and then I don't finish them. So this whole year has been me forcing my way to finishing a game that I like pick up and play. Like right now, Heavenly Sword. At first I was playing it. I like the story to it. It's a cool story. The first mission though, you're like in this castle corridor, and the controls are kind of janky until you get used to them. And then even once you're used to them, they're not great. They have not aged well, and I don't even know if they were good controls back in the day, 18 years ago when the game came out. There's no actual not dodge, but a block button. There's no block button. You use the right stick to roll around on the floor, and that's how you evade attacks in Heavenly Sword. And while it works, I still think there should be a fucking block button. Like, why is there no block button? Like, you just put your sword up and then you block. Like, why is that not a thing? I don't know. It's kind of stupid. But the story's good in Heavenly Sword, and I've been enjoying that a lot. But yeah, back to these pickups. So I did pick up Daemon X Machina. This is getting kind of expensive, and then the closer the second game comes out, it'll probably keep going up in price, and then even after a couple months, depending on how that game is, and depending on how the sales go, I kind of foresee this one going up in price. That's why I nabbed it now. This was still relatively expensive. However, I owned this when it came out and then sold it like an idiot, and then had to buy it back at a higher price. So, yay. But I'm glad to add it back into the collection. The Switch collection for me is it's getting there. I'm like down to like 15, maybe a dozen games, and then I'm done with the Switch one, and I couldn't be more excited about that. It's kind of thrilling knowing you're like almost done collecting for a console, because then I don't need to even bother looking for Switch games anymore, So kind of exciting. This one's still sealed. I'm not even going to open it until I have time to play it, so who knows when that'll happen. This was a Switch exclusive, and it is now on the PS5 and possibly Xbox. I don't know. I don't really keep up with the Xbox anymore because if I have to explain that to you, then you're probably not really actually gaming. But No More Heroes 3, this was a Switch exclusive at one point in time. Plus, it's a Nintendo franchise just in the sense that it came out on the Wii first, and this came out on the Switch first. So I view that as a Nintendo experience. Now here is the second big title for the Switch 2, and that being Donkey Kong Bonanza. Donkey Kong Country was the first game that I ever played in my life, so therefore it is de facto my favorite game of all time, because it is the best platformer of all time. There is no changing my mind on that. You can't, because it is the best platformer of all time. It's the best of the trilogy, and just the best 16-bit platformer, the best music, the best graphics, the best level design. Everything about Donkey Kong Country 1 is amazing. So, needless to say, I'm a big Donkey Kong guy. Donkey Kong Bonanza, I fucking loved it. Now, Expedition 33 is one of my games of the year. This is now another game of the year. And another game that we're going to talk about briefly here is Mafia: The Old Country, which I got on Steam, which is another game of the year for me. I had an absolute blast with both these games. Sorry, getting sidetracked, but those are my 4 games of the years real quick. But Bonanza, been playing. I played the hell out of this. I probably got every bit of, I would say, a strong 75%, maybe 80% of all the bananas, because I really would look around in the levels before I would dive down, and I would really kind of explore and really enjoy the game. I really kind of savored it. I think it took me roughly about 30 hours to get to the end of the game. Spoilers, King K. Rool is the final boss. Kind of didn't see that coming. So, again, as a big Donkey Kong Country guy, I was grinning from ear to ear when I was like, yeah, my boy's back! It was fantastic. I loved it. It was a really good final ending boss. Because the boss fights throughout the rest of the game, they're pretty fucking mediocre, if I'm being honest. But the King K. Rool boss fight was premium. It was choice. It was wonderful. And then it was like a 3-tier fight, and then you end up going to New Donk City, and then that ties into Odyssey, and it was so wonderfully and lovely crafted. It was just amazing. It was just such a great experience. But again, the Switch 2 has no fucking content. As someone who, I want to use the Switch 2, it just does not have enough content. And at no point in time, I just feel like this is just the route of a Nintendo console at this point in time, where you have no games to play. You basically wait for each exclusive to come out, because I'm not going to buy the multiplats on the Switch. It's just not going to happen. They're going to play inferior. They don't have trophies or achievements. The online place, it's just not the same. So it's just like the Switch is just that extra console for Nintendo exclusives for me. It just is what it is. If they can at least release one a month, I'd be happy with that. Or, next year, if they could just release one every 3 or 4 months, I'd still be pretty content with that, But that's kind of where I'm at with the Switch 2. I turn it on maybe once a week to get the little online exclusive profile pictures and shit, just because, it's something to do with my $500 console. But other than that, I don't really play it that often. I was excited about the GameCube experience stuff, but I was mistaken. I thought that the GameCube games were going to play online too. I thought that that's that was going to happen. I thought F-Zero GX was going to have online. I thought Soul Calibur was going to have online play. You can't tell me that it's not possible. They could trick it to making it think it's in LAN mode. I mean, dude, that's a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. They could add online play to those games. They could, and it probably wouldn't even be that hard. The game's already built. I just don't get it. So, the main reason that I bought this was to readjust the tower of stuff. So this goes on top next to my 360, and then under that we got the N64, the Dreamcast, GameCube. Next to that we have the component switcher box, which has 4 component hookups, and then on top of that we got the FrameMeister. Underneath that we got the Xbox, the Sega CD, Genesis, 32X combo. Under that we got NES, Saturn, and SNES. And with me getting this, that allowed me to take the PS2 out of the setup, and it also, well, I never had a PS1 in there, because all of these can play PS1 and 3. I do have a PS1, but it hasn't been hooked up in ages. But so this thing's heavy too. But this allowed me to clear more shelf space, to hook up the FrameMeister, to leave that in a dedicated spot, to hook up the Switch box, and then allowed me to move the PS2 out of the way. And then also, I've obviously played the fat PS3s at friends' houses and this and that over the years. However, I never had it myself to where I could really enjoy playing the enhanced PS2 games and the enhanced PS1 games. I've played them, but I've never really sat down and enjoyed it to see the visual upgrade that it actually provides. It's a pretty impressive upscale. It's not going to blow you away, obviously, but, I put in Ratchet and Clank, and I put in SOCOM 1, and I was playing some of these games that I'm about to show you, and just testing them out, and it makes them look pretty good. And then, the convenience of having one console to just play 3 generations of systems on, and then my PS5 Pro's down there to play, you know, PS4 and 5 games. So really, with 2 systems, you can play 5 different consoles, and then I have the VR hookup for the PSVR 1 for the PS5, so then I can play both the VRs on the PS5 Pro, which is, so it's nice to streamline and kind of get stuff out of the home entertainment center there. So pretty excited about that. I'm really enjoying this PS3. And 4 USB chargers ports is underrated, because now I can charge all my controllers and have the stupid iToy camera for the PlayStation Move games hooked up. So I could charge 3 controllers at one time and have the camera hooked up for the Move games and everything. Or you can charge the Move controllers and all that different stuff. It's wonderful. Having 4 USB ports should be mandatory on every console. Alright, so what really kicked this all off was I ended up buying a shit ton of PS2 games. And then I kept realizing how absolutely annoying it was to keep having to hook up the component, and moving them, and then hook up this and that, and it just, the amount of consoles here, and then having to hook up and move HDMIs and move components and switch on this and that, it was getting kind of annoying to deal with that. And then, like, honestly, that kind of trickled into the videos, because it would be so annoying for me to do stuff and record and do all that. And I really have just been trying to simplify all this so that, again, to get back to more content and this and that. Next week we got something pretty cool coming out. It is a pickup that I'm not going to show because that would kind of spoil the video. But so yeah, lots of PS2 games here. Most of this actually came from one store, 2 stores really. So this first little lot of stuff here is Ratchet and Clank 1, and it's got the map in there and everything. Then we got Going Commando, and then we got Deadlock. So I still need Up Your Arsenal, but this is... well, so this is number 1, that's number 2, Up Your Arsenal's 3, and then Deadlock is kind of the bastard child, because it is a great game. I played this when it came out, loved it. I believe I got this with my Slim that same day, if I remember correctly, and loved it. But if you get the collection on PS3, it doesn't even come with this, which I did not know, which seems kind of stupid. Like, why would you make the PS2 collection but not put the 4th game there? Just seems kind of asinine. But whatever. So excited to grab those. Those are all complete, really good copies. A while ago I picked up Jak and Daxter 1, and then we also got Jak and Daxter 2, which is probably my favorite PS2 game. If I had to say, I would say it's probably Jak 2. I really loved this game. I've played through it probably 3 or 4 times, and I'm kind of looking forward to playing that again at some point. Jak 3 is a game that I actually... kind of ashamed to admit that I've never actually beaten, so at some point I do plan on jumping into that and beating that. At the same store we picked up these, and the rest of this is from an online store. So we also picked up Devil May Cry, which this was a pretty good find in my opinion. So after getting this, I kind of looked into the franchise a little more, and then obviously 1, 2, and 3 are PS2 exclusives originally. Then there is an HD collection on the PS3 and 360, and then it also additionally came out on the PS4 and Xbox One. And then they also additionally had the remake of Devil May Cry, or the reimagining of Devil May Cry, and then they had Devil May Cry 4, and then they had Devil May Cry 5, and then so essentially there's, I guess, 6 games in the franchise. I now have this one. I'm interested to jump into the franchise. The only one that I've ever played is the reimagined from, what's the name of those people? The Heavenly Sword people, Ninja Theory. And I actually absolutely loved that game. I think it's a wonderful game. But Devil May Cry, so grab that. Nice complete in-box copy. I don't plan on buying the other ones until I finish that one first. So like I'm going to diligently try to beat games and then get the sequels. And that'll kind of keep me from like just getting a ridiculous amount of shit, even though this is 2 months worth of pickups, so I know it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's spread out from like 60 days. And surprisingly, other than the PS3, all of this crap was really like $300. So like for 2 months, $300. I generally try to get shit on sales and really just try to look for the best deals I possibly can. So the last game I got from this physical store that I went to, I was kind of surprised to see this, and then to see... All right, so this last physical one here, I was kind of surprised at the condition and then even the price on it. The price, once I got home, I realized wasn't actually that great. But $19 for Odin Sphere for the PS2. Immaculate copy. Like, look at that manual. That manual's probably never been touched in its life. Really cool game. This one, I think I would want to play on the CRT just to get the crisp colors and everything with a nice CRT TV. So excited to play that. Really cool little old school kind of game there. And that's from, I believe that's the Vanillaware is what their name is. If I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's Atlas, but I think Vanillaware is the name of the people that makes that. All right, so the rest of this stack here, this is the last of the games here. This all came from an online store. 3 of these I already kind of did a little short about and talked about these. That being Ghost Recon. So this is Ghost Recon 1. This one, like I mentioned in the short, and it kind of piqued my interest that there's a whole additional campaign here that the Xbox never got. And when I think of Ghost Recon back then, I kind of relate this to the Xbox from back then. But again, that's where I mainly played games back in the day, was on the Xbox. But Tom Clancy, to me, at least back in Xbox and 360 era, for me, was more of an Xbox franchise. But that's just me. But this has a whole other campaign on it that's an extra 15 minutes, or is it 15? Region 15. 8 exclusive maps for the Desert Siege campaign. And an 8 exclusive? Yeah, it's got a whole extra ass campaign in here. So that's kind of cool. And then you have Jungle Storm, which is exclusive to the PS2, Ghost Recon Jungle Storm. So I guess that's sort of a follow-up to that one. Probably not a direct follow-up. And then you have Ghost Recon 2, and like I mentioned in the short, this is different than the Xbox version. This is like part 1 of number 2, and the Xbox version is like part 2 of number 2. If that makes, like, they're 2 wholly different games. And then supposedly the GameCube one might be even different than this one, even though the GameCube one is technically supposed to be the same as this one. So I don't know, maybe it's 3 whole different campaigns. I don't know. Someone let me know if you know. This game I did actually play on my PS3 last night, and I was having an absolute blast with this. This is a really cool title. I don't know why Sega kind of let this die and didn't continue with this genre of Shinobi, being 3D Shinobi. This actually plays surprisingly well still and looks pretty damn good. I had a lot of fun playing this last night, and I kind of want to jump back in and finish it. And I hate that I'm like as I was saying before, I start too many games and then I get into these, and then I'm like, well, fuck, now I want to play that. Now I want to play that. I need to finish Heavenly Sword, which is luckily not a long game. I just beat Mafia, beat Donkey Kong. Been playing a lot of the Battlefield 2042 just to get those extra skins. And then I forget what else I was playing. There was something else I was playing. Oh, I started Days Gone on the PS5. But I've already beat it, so now I'm kind of like, do I even want to finish it? Yeah, I don't know. But I do want to get back to this eventually. Good friend of the channel, Filberto, he actually recommended this, and this is kind of why I started looking into PS2 exclusives, was because he messaged me in our little gamer group that we have about this game, and it's called 7 Samurai 20XX. PS2 exclusive. This is from Sammy, before Sega Sammy. So this is just from Sammy Studios before they combined with Sega. I believe this is some kind of anime from Japan. I don't really know much about it, so again, correct me in the comments if you know something about it. I don't, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It looks cool. It looks like it's kind of some kind of, I guess, hack and slack adventure kind of game. I look forward to playing it for sure. And again, now I got a high-def PS2 to play it on, so super excited about that. And then along with that, I started to look into like all the different like beat 'em up type games on the PlayStation 2, and man, is there a lot of them. We picked up Devil Kings, so this is kind of more of a hack and slash beat 'em up game, but nevertheless, still essentially a beat 'em up game. Then we got Chaos Legion, again, kind of another hack and slash beat 'em up game. Then we got Nano Breaker, also really, again, kind of hack and slash beat 'em up game. An actual beat 'em up game, The Bouncer. Tyler Stevenson beat this, I think it was last year or the year before, and he was ranting and raving about how it was pretty fun. I did actually pop this in and play it a little bit. It's decent. I've played that on the PS2 though, so I want to play it on the PS3 now that it's sort of high def. So it'll probably look a little bit cleaner of an image. But again, super excited to grab all that. Oh, you know what? I must have grabbed this at that store too then, because it has that price sticker there. So this was 25 bucks. But I was actually looking for this for kind of a while. So interested to try this. I think you could beat this in like 3 hours. I've really been looking forward to games that you can kind of beat quickly. So 3-hour game, choice. I got a few more things here. Here's one that surprised. This is like an $8 game. Surprised. I just happened to see it. I was like, it's exclusive. Why not? Let's try it. And that being City Crisis. So this is like a cool little helicopter game. It's from Take-Two Interactive. It's an isometric view above a city, and you play as different helicopters. One's like a rescue copter, one's like a firefighter copter. There's probably military ones the deeper you get into the game. There's all sorts of different shit, and you kind of fly around. The graphics are not great, but they're like not great in a good way. They're just like primitive. Like they look more like PS1 and 64 era graphics on a PS2 game. So maybe this is originally a PS1 game and then came to the PS2. I don't know, but it's actually a really fun game. You could pick this up complete for like $8. So if you're looking for something fun, unique, and different to play that you can just kind of pop in and play, this one. And another kind of cool to me, I don't know, the spine is blank on it, which is interesting. I took the sleeve out and actually looked at it. That's how it's supposed to be for whatever reason, and it's just a solid black. I mean, it says PS2, but it's blank here. So kind of interesting. So it looks kind of cool and mysterious on your shelf. Let's see here. We got this one. I was actually pretty excited to get because, one, it's a PS2 exclusive, and then two, I have the spiritual sequel to it on the Xbox, which is also on the PS2. And this being Castlevania Lament of Innocence. This one is before Curse of Darkness, I think is what it's called. So I wanted to play this one first before I play that. I started playing that one, but then I found out about this one, and then I was like, well, if that one has cool mechanics that this one doesn't have, then that'll make this one more rough to play than that one. So like now I want to play this first, then play the Xbox One, which is also on the PS2. So in hindsight now I'm like, well fuck, I wish I got it on the PS, whatever. Either way, super excited to play this. This looks pretty good. However, when I was playing it on the PS2, it was very dark. So I'm hoping on the PS3 with the HDMI, maybe it'll make it look better. Or maybe I had the brightness down too much. I don't know. Or maybe the FrameMeister was making it look too dark. But it was a very dark looking image to where I couldn't see shit. Although maybe that's just how the game is. I'm not sure. Here's a couple of Konami games here that a lot of people either really, really like or really, really hate in this franchise. And that being Contra, Shattered Soldier, and Neo Contra. So which one is which? This Shattered Soldier is more of your traditional side-scrolling Contra, and then Neo Contra is the one where it's like a weird isometric. It's like a diagonal isometric. The controls in this game definitely take a while to get used to. I can say that. I do like both these, and I have owned both these before and played them both a good bit. I've never beaten either of them, but I do intend on beating them now. And I've been playing both these. They look pretty good on the PS3. Really good games. I really like them. They're both like 30 or less. Very cheap to get. Very fun to play. Probably really fun with co-op, I would imagine. And if I'm being honest, the intro to this game, look it up. It's such a cool intro. I really enjoy that. So definitely worth adding to your collection, I think. Now here's another pair of games, and then these are the last games here. A long time ago when I was younger on the GameCube, I played the hell out of Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 with the neighborhood kids. I never had the online play for the GameCube because it was really just for that one game. However, one of the kids had it and he played it online a lot, but we would all get together like once a week and all leveled our guys individually like during the week, and then on the weekends we would play Phantasy Star Online together and kind of loot and do all that stuff. So I love Phantasy Star Online. It's one of my more favorite RPGs. and then one of my favorite GameCube games for that matter, just because of the amount of hours I played that game. But so, Phantasy Star Universe did come out on the Xbox 360, which has achievements and it looks better, but it did also come out on the PS2. So I've kind of always been curious about the PS2 version of Phantasy Star Universe, and I kind of just want to try it on the PS2. Why not, right? No online play at this point, obviously, and these don't really play like Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, which is a shame, because that's my preferred 3D Phantasy Star is Online 1 and 2. The new Phantasy Star, it's more similar to the Phantasy Star Online 1 and Episode 1 and 2, but it's not the same, in my opinion. It's like they like overdid it. It's like too much. They added too much crap to it. And I enjoyed it, but they added way too much crap to it. And then this one is more of a story-driven RPG. And then I believe at the time you could play it online. And I know there's ways to hack your PS2 and still play with people online and blah, blah, blah. And then additionally, I never knew this existed. I don't think this ever existed on 360 whatsoever. And that being Phantasy Star Universe Ambition of Illuminous, which is the DLC for the game, which was also obviously on PC. I don't think it ever came to the 360, and if it did, you can't get it physical, and you can't get it at all anymore. So this comes with, and it has a little graph on the box here, but it comes with Episode 1 for sure. Not Episode 2, I guess. Or no, Episode 2 is only available online? No. This is kind of confusing. I don't actually know, so I'm going to have to put it in play. But I'm pretty sure this has like extra story stuff to it that you can play, basically. And again, I could be even wrong about this. Maybe this has like offline play similar to the campaign of Episode 1 and 2 versus the actual story, which I know it has. I don't actually know, because I've never played the PS2 version. At some point in time, I will try to get into it and play it. But so those are all the pickups. Kind of a lot of stuff. Super excited about that PS3. Cannot wait to play all this stuff. When is there going to be time to play all this stuff? I don't know. I want to replay through all the God of Wars. I want to play through all these PS2 beat-em-ups. I want to replay through all the Jak and Daxters, the Ratchet and Clanks. I've been just kind of having a nostalgic PlayStation experience here, grabbing a lot of new games that I never played for the PS2, and then even a bunch of games for the PS2 that I did have. And then even just, tons of new stuff here I'm just excited to play and try. Hopefully you learned something today. Tons of cool pickups. Let me know what you guys have been picking up. Let me know if you've played any of this stuff. Let me know some other cool PS2 exclusives that I maybe don't even know about. Because I had a PS2 growing up. However, I only ever ended up owning like maybe 12 games for it, like while the PS2 was a relevant console. It was just kind of like that third extra console for me that I had, but I never really got games for it for whatever reason. I don't even know why I didn't. I just never did. And so let me know some cool exclusives that are worth playing that I haven't picked up yet. I guess you can probably see the rest of what I have here. So PS2 collection is just kind of starting at this point. So I think I have probably roughly about 30 games for it now, all exclusives. Really no point in picking up non-exclusives because I either probably own them on the Xbox or would rather have them on the Xbox. So be that as it may. Look forward to next week's video. It is an Xbox exclusive video. It should be relatively easy for me to produce and get out. And it's an informative, educational video that no one has done on YouTube yet. So kind of a historical piece, I guess you could say. So kind of excited to go ahead and get that information out there just for posterity's sake so that people know about it. But look forward to that. And as always, peace out for now, guys. Until next time.
Come here, you mother...